Hi everyone, I'm Steve and this is Base Reality. And today I wanted to talk about safety and feeling supported. And as we move through this ascension process, as these photonic radiation particles are bombarding the earth and creating a lot of chaos as people are waking up, it's not very fun. Part of it is not very fun. It's kind of like being in a deep sleep and someone really just kind of starting to wake you up. And it's like a lot of people are pretty grumpy right now. But as these energies are going through the energy centers of the body, one of the primary places that the energy comes through from Earth, then to the central sun, through the crown chakra, to the central sun, and then back down through the chakras. The main chakra is really the root chakra, and that is our safety chakra. That really allows us to either let the energy flow up through the other chakras, up through the sacral, through the solar, through the heart, throat, third eye, crown. And when the root chakra is clogged up, when it's fearful, when it's fearing for its safety, it sort of constricts that energy and it doesn't flow as well as it could. And that's what you're seeing right now in a lot of the media and a lot of the dark energies on the planet, is that they're trying to make people feel very unsafe. And it's to sort of constrict that chakra. And they're also doing some other stuff too, but that's sort of the primary thing, is to um, try to make people feel unsafe, especially as all this stuff is being purged. That you'll be ridiculed, that you're a bad person, or that you're weak, for showing some of this vulnerability at this time. And that's simply not true. So I just wanted to let everyone know that you are safe. You are very supported, not just non-physically by your spirit guides and by God Almighty. And again, that's not a religious statement. That's all that is infinite intelligence. This energy that creates worlds, universes, is walking side by side with you, with your hand, holding your hand. And a lot of physical people too. I mean, people like me, there's a lot of other people that are starting to awaken. Their hearts are open. And so when I'm going around in public, I'm being loving and giving as much love and support and help and patience and forgiveness, and trying to pat people on the back as much as they'll let me, and to just try to anchor more light on this. So there's a lot of support here for you, for everyone. And there's just a lot of, and it's tough when all this trauma is coming up. There's a lot of people that are really hurt. And I remember seeing this rerun of The Hulk back in the day. I think it was in the 70s, late 70s, early 80s, with Lou Ferrigno. And there was an episode where there was this, I think it was like a high school coach or something, that was just being a real jerk to everyone. He was just mean and kind of nasty to the kids and wasn't very kind, and kind of bullied them around. And so Bruce Banner, of course, shows up, and he starts talking to this guy, and he's trying to get him to back off and chill out and everything. And instead, the coach starts getting on him, and then he grabs Bruce Banner, throws him. They get into this altercation, and then he ends up throwing Bruce Banner down these stairs into this dark area, of course, where the Hulk can go through his transformation, and you hear the grunting, and you see the eyes and the shirt tearing. And you're rooting. You're like, yeah, get this jerk. And so then, of course, he comes up and he grabs the coach and he starts tossing him around the gym. And the coach finally just kind of balls up in this fetal position and starts crying. And he says, "Please don't hurt me, Daddy. Please don't hurt me anymore, Daddy." And the Hulk stops and he's confused by this. And he's looking at this um, person that's going through this trauma of his childhood. And obviously he was abused by his father. And it always gets me a little choked up telling this story, but and so of course the Hulk leaves. But after that, but you could see that, and as the saying goes, hurt people hurt people. And so a lot of the people that seem to be jerks and rude and all this kind of stuff that are walking around us are people that are carrying a lot of abuse. So when you're seeing somebody, try to have as much compassion as you can, because everyone's fighting a tough battle, and you never know what kind of trauma they grew up with and as a child, and the abuse that was maybe poured on them. And then same thing too. I have this dog that lives next to me. Two dogs actually, and the owner is an older lady. And and when I first moved in, I was going through a lot of my trauma and healing. This was about 15, or gosh, about 18 years ago, I guess now. And so, there was a kind of the cordial this and that. But as I started to go through my awakening, as I started going through my process, I remember the dog. She had different dogs back then, but they passed on, and so she got two new dogs. And one of the dogs, little Kirby, I'm not sure what kind of dog he is, kind of a smaller dog, but man, he looks vicious. And one time I was out there, and every time I'd be out in my backyard doing some work or whatever, he'd come to the fence, or if I was mowing, he would just run along the fence with the mower, and uh, and he just looked really mean and just vicious. And so one day I was just out there, and he was just barking at the fence, and I just had this overwhelming love. I was just in this total Christ mind. I'm not saying to do this, nor am I a professional, but I'm just sharing this story just to get over some of these boundaries that we have with other people. But so I just walked up to the fence, and I felt this guidance with me saying it was okay to put my hand through the fence. And the dog was giving me just the meanest look it could totally muster. And I remember, but again, this love was just overwhelming. And so I just stuck my hand through the fence, because it's a regular fence. It's got like the boards going across, or not the boards, but the horizontal, so you can kind of get through it. But she had chicken wire up, so I had to kind of put my hand through the chicken wire, and I just poop, threw it right out there, man. I mean, he could have just and and he just stopped, and he just kind of smelled it, and then he just kind of started licking my hand a little bit, and he actually started letting me pet him, which I was absolutely shocked. It was like from night to day. It was just the craziest experience. So a lot of times when we're going through our daily lives, we'll see people that are putting on these, you better stay away from me. And, because they're hurt and they don't want people to love them. And so if you can, again, doesn't mean dive right in, but, if you could kind of, if you're feeling loving, and you're seeing somebody that maybe could use, just an encouraging word, or just, an arm over the shoulder or something like that, then you can maybe just, maybe just take that courageous bravery step to just say, hey, is there anything I can do? Can I help? And like I said, there's support everywhere. There's physical support, there's non-physical support. I use it in my job all the time. I do IT work, and sometimes I run into some pretty difficult issues. And so I'll just stop, and I'll just be like, please guide me to the solution here. Help me. I'm not really seeing it right now. And then and sometimes, you kind of, I have to settle myself down because I get a little worked up. And so I'll just calm myself, think of something, get my heart center, think of like uh, some things that, some beautiful places or some people I love, and just kind of get in there. And then, boop, usually something will just come right in. I'll be like, wow, either I'll find an article or I'll get an idea to try, and then I'm on my way again. So there's a lot of help. And, this is the ego's playground. So this is where people come to experience lack and limitation and hate and fear and, oh gosh, all this stuff. And that's why you see so much trauma down here. And that's allowed. It's allowed. That's the spirit wants to have this experience of separation from God, to make its own decisions, to sit on its own throne, and to go through this for a time. It's temporary. We all go home. No one's getting thrown in this permanent hellfire or any of that nonsense. And also, you'll have to realize that there's a lot of dark energy throwing shade at people too at this time. So they're throwing shade down at, through social media, which is the initials are S&M, which is, there's a lot of crud being thrown out and received. TikTok, you just see a lot of stuff where it looks like there's just not safety. And these are fringe people. This is just a tiny majority. When you're driving down the road, we usually just look at the one person that's driving erratically or aggressively or dangerously. But when you think about the other 1,000 cars that pass you that were driving well, driving kindly and respectfully and carefully, that's how it really is. It's just a small group of people, and it's the social media tries to make it look like they're the majority or there's a lot of it. And so this creates a lot of toxic masculinity, toxic femininity, and it's just not true. So, and if you're having trouble, if you're, it's okay to get help. It's okay to get self-help books to read. I've done plenty of that. I've done therapy. I've done self-help books. I've done the spiritual. I've done the meditative. I've done all that stuff, whatever it takes to help me to get into peace. Because if you seek for peace, you'll have peace. If you seek for conflict, you'll have conflict. It's the quantum matrix. You'll have whatever you're focused on. So anyway, I just, if you want to use this affirmation, I am safe, I am supported, I am safe, I am supported, I am safe, I am supported. Just throughout the day, you'll start to see more loving people. You'll start to see a better world emerge for you. So I hope that helps. I love everyone out there. Hang in there and take care.